Hello everyone, Jessica here and welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. So today I'm actually going to be using my small Tim Holtz stamp platform. You can see the comparison here of the bigger one. And one of the only reasons I bought the smaller one was because it'd be a little bit easier for videos and because there was such a good deal at one of my local craft stores that I often go to, Craft Warehouse. It was a good deal, so I thought it was well worth it, and I enjoyed the process with using it. It just has a smaller profile. I will use both, not an issue. You definitely don't need both, but I do like having both. So anyways, today I'm using some stamps and dies from CAS-ual Fridays. I have been participating in their challenge blog, and I actually won. I was so excited. I bought these stamp sets and dies and they came super quickly and I can't wait to use them. So I'm going to be using them on this card, and these are my first stamps by them. I'm pretty excited. It's cool. It's a good deal. I love coffee. So I'm going to use the Gina K Amalgam ink, and I'm using that ink just because I wanted to. I felt like it. I'm using it partly because of the watercoloring that I'm going to be doing with this little coffee cup. The other inks that I have, the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink and the MFT Extreme Black ink, I've used with watercolors too, and they work just fine also. So I don't have a favorite out of those three black inks yet. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer to which one is better, because they're all just slightly different, but I use them all. I use all three of them, so I don't know. Anyways, so I'm stamping that with the coffee cup and the amalgam ink, and I'm using my sleeve technique because that's how I roll. I just thought the handle was so cute on this little coffee cup, and I'm just trying to get that little edge. It just wasn't stamping as clearly as I wanted it to. It's a brand new stamp, so I might not have rubbed that spot with my finger to kind of rough it up. That way the stamp actually holds onto the ink and is less likely to stick to the paper as much. So that's why you saw me rubbing my finger over the stamp. I cleaned that off with my stamp chamois, my well-used stamp chamois, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment onto the coffee cup. And when I saw this sentiment, I thought of my husband. He really likes his large coffee cups. We are avid coffee drinkers in the morning and sometimes throughout the day, depending on the day. And he takes a whole large thermos to work, but we have a couple large, extremely large. They're kind of larger than normal coffee cups, and he always steals those ones first. And one of them is my favorite coffee mug, and I don't get to drink out of it because sometimes he gets to it before I do. It's a whole thing. I know I could just wash it and drink out of it, but you know, that's not the point. The point is he uses the one I like, and he has plenty of other ones. But anyways, so we have a small collection of coffee mugs, mainly like ones that we've gotten from our travels. We have like a Yellowstone one. My favorite is the one from the Trees of Mystery down in California by the Redwood. That was a fun trip, and I really like that mug. So anyways, so I'm stamping this sentiment, and it says, "I like big cups and I cannot lie." You know that song, or maybe don't, but I'm cleaning off that stamp image with my stamp chamois again. Alright, so moving on to coloring the coffee mug. I have two different Gina K inks, and these are just regular dye inks. And one is the color Sea Glass, and the other one is Turquoise Sea. Turquoise Sea is just slightly darker than Sea Glass. And I'm going to smush those ink pads right onto my white mat that comes with the glass media mat from Tim Holtz. And I'm just going to pick up the ink with my water brush, and I'm going to do a really light wash with the lighter color, the sea glass color, and then I'll go back through with the turquoise sea color, the slightly darker, and just deepen up some of the edges, little crevice areas, and then I'll smush that color again, that same ink pad, and get a more concentrated color to darken it up even more. Just a really quick, easy watercolor, nothing fancy, we're just hanging out and drinking coffee here, chilling. Alright, so once that has dried, I did blast it a little bit with my heat gun. I'm going to color the open part at the top of the coffee cup where the coffee would go with a brown distress ink. This color is the brush Corduroy, and I'm going to do the same thing with my water brush as I did before with the actual coffee cup. Just dip it in and do a semi-light wash and then go back through and darken up some of the areas to add some contrast again. And then I'm going to blast that with my heat gun too. And I'm just going to do that right on top of my stamp platform. Not going to hurt it. Just a quick little blast of heat, and even dry the back side. That way I know for sure everything is good and dry, because now I'm going to actually die cut that out with the coordinating dies. And we're gonna do a little snap trick again. I didn't realize that this die actually cuts right up to the edge of the stamp, so that's pretty neat actually. A lot of the times there is a white border around the where the die cuts, so it's kind of like you fussy cut it out like right up to the stamp line. So I'm going to use my black Memento brush pen and drag that along the edges of the die cut. That way it just finishes off. Like I always say, you don't need to do this. Some people might not even like the look after doing this. It's all preference, but this is how I do it. This is what I like to do, and I think it just gives a die cut a little something more than if you didn't. So I'm not gonna go around the coffee part that cut out, that little oval shape, because that's gonna be inset into the die cut anyway, so I'll just leave that one be. I like how this die actually cuts out the handle and it cuts up to the black stamp line, plus it cuts out the little coffee portion at the top, so that's a very interactive die. Alright, so I took a piece of 110-pound Neenah Solar White cardstock and I taped it down with just some washi tape that I have. And I'm going to be using a Tim Holtz stamp, and this one is the Splatter's layering stencil, and it kind of has like 2 coffee rings. I'm taking the Sea Glass ink cube from Gina K inks that I used previously on the coffee cup, and I'm blending that ink into the 2 circle parts of the stencil and making sure that I'm getting some of those little splatter dots too. And then I go back through with the Turquoise Sea, which is the darker, and do little dabs here and there of that aqua color. And you can see there how nice that actually really looks with the 2 tones. I'm going to quickly wipe off my stencil, and then instead of using the Gina K inks again, I'm going to use one of the distress inks in black Soot to add a little bit of black splatter to this piece. So doing the same type of thing, except I'm turning the stencil so it's diagonal the other way, and I'm going to concentrate the black Soot ink in the larger splatter areas of the stencil and layering it right over the top of the other ink that I already blended onto this cardstock. So it'll be like a layered splattered look. I'm not trying to have a heavy hand, just trying to get a good coat of the black ink onto this cardstock. After looking at it, I decided to add more of the black splatters with the stencil towards the top and then more towards the bottom area of smaller splatters. Okay, we're gonna speed this up real quick. I cut out a piece of black fun foam with the same die that I used to cut the coffee cup out with, and I'm going to adhere that to that die cut with Tombow Mono multi glue. Off screen, I cut a piece of Simon Says Stamp Audrey Blue cardstock to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then cut down that stenciled background that I did to 5 1/2 by 3 3/4. So that'll layer nicely onto that. I'm going to attach a piece of the black and white stripes from the MFT Black and White Basics pattern paper pack to the left side of that splatter blended background. And then cut off the little tails with a pair of scissors real quick. After that's done, I'm going to adhere the whole thing to a Neenah 110-pound Solar White, and I'm using my ATG gun to adhere that to that. I like to adhere these kind of things upside down, so I take the tops and I line them up upside down on a flat table, on a flat surface. That way I can get everything lined up very easily. Then I can adhere the coffee cut die cut to the front of the card with Tampomono multi glue again. And that gives me a little bit of leeway with where I can put it because the glue does not dry right away. I add an acrylic block to that to keep it held down until it's fully dried. And for the inside, I add a stamp that says either I drink my coffee or I say bad words to strangers, which I thought was very snarky. And then I just stamp a little blue coffee cup to tie everything together. And then I can add some crystal Nuvo drops to this whole thing. Throughout the panel, I have the Caribbean Sea, which is the blue, gloss white, and the clear. And that's it for this card. I hope you enjoyed today's video. You can connect with me on Instagram or email me directly or comment below with any questions you might have about card making. I will always do my best to help. All the products I used today are linked on my blog and help support new products and supplies for this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to see the latest videos from me. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.